How's it going, guys? I'm Shifty Cow, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the future of Battlefield and basically just my ideas on what Battlefield 5 is going to be doing differently. So this is just a speculation video and we're just going to be talking about ideas, so you're going to have to wait if anything's going to be confirmed. I'd like to say that in every video because people always get upset there's no like Battlefield 5 leaked gameplay, but anyways, let's hop right into it. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the setting, because there's been so many different rumors flying around talking about it's going to be a World War II game or a World War I, or it's going to return to like 2142 or something like that. And to be completely truthful, I don't see any mainstream Battlefield game being anything other than Modern Warfare, or slightly in the future to the point where there's like a couple of new prototypes or new weapons. Just because, first of all, they've had this formula down with Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, and to go against that would be a huge risk in terms of sales, and it's also a lot tougher on the developers because they have to make just an insane amount of customization, which there was very little during that time period, and have to actually make it work in a World War II setting, because otherwise people are going to kind of get bored with it. There's not going to be enough map variation, or maybe there's not enough weapons, and of course I could be totally wrong about this, but I think it would just be too much strain on the developers, and they would save something like this as kind of an off-year project similar to like Battlefield Hardline. So that's just kind of my ideas. I really don't think this will be a World War II game, but I do think it'll kind of go back on the Modern Warfare or slightly in the future, just to kind of retain that formula of, you know, all-out destruction, vehicles everywhere. I think they really want to keep the customization high, and rather than doing something drastically different, instead they're just going to kind of refine their formula and get better and better. Speaking of refinement, there's also a very high chance that we're going to see some form of Levolution in the next Battlefield game, solely because it was a really big selling point for Battlefield 4. That was one of the biggest things they showed off in their trailers, was a huge skyscraper was coming down, there was a dam that blew up, there was, you know, crazy weather that blew in, and for me personally, this was something that really pulled me to Battlefield 4. I really wasn't a Battlefield fan before because I would just be a little pleb, a filthy casual if you will, and I would play a little bit of Call of Duty. I had an Xbox, I really didn't play too much, I would go do other things, but after Battlefield 4 came out, that's when everything really changed. I started saving up for an Xbox One because I had to get those 64 players, like I needed this. Then eventually I got a PC, and really I would say Battlefield 4 is one of the biggest reasons where I actually got into gaming, and I don't think I would be nearly as attracted to Battlefield 4 if it wasn't for the dope-ass trailers. Like that's literally what it was, is just seeing those set pieces and that awe factor. While it didn't really, you know, add anything to the gameplay other than that awe factor, it kind of pulled me in to explore the rest of the game, try the new gameplay out, try out different weapons, unlock things, and I think it was just kind of pulling me in to start it up. So I'd love to see them go further with this, just because it brought in a lot of fresh players into the Battlefield series, but I think they could do some really intricate and just incredible things in terms of graphics, gameplay, and just how the game looks, especially now that they don't have to worry about last-gen consoles, because that was something that kind of pulled behind Battlefield 4, is they could only go so far without leaving behind consoles, but I'm really happy that they're finally able to kind of bump up to the next level, because Battlefield 4 is by far one of the nicest looking games, especially when you consider that it's been out for over 2 years. So I'm really just excited to see what they can do with destruction, Levolution, and overall just make it look really nice, along with having some gameplay mechanic behind it. So rather than just blowing something up just to blow it up, maybe you'll blow it up and you'll be able to take out an enemy ship, or it'll do something like that. But anyways, I'm really excited to see what they do with this, and let's just move on. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is map design. So DICE has already proved that they can make some really nice maps, especially for infantry, but also balance in a little bit of vehicular gameplay. And one of the biggest things that I'm really excited to see what they do is how they implement some verticality, because there's been some really cool maps in the past. Dam of Peak, that was an awesome one because they had that cliff you could jump off. Siege of Shanghai, obviously that had a lot of verticality, and it was a very interesting mechanic between rooftops, and then you had elevators going up, you had rooftop campers, and while they were very annoying, you could still take them out in a multitude of different ways, especially with all the gadgets. And then of course they just had all these different maps like Dawnbreaker that really did a nice job of having verticality so it wasn't super cramped, and it really made the map feel a lot larger while still holding just like 64 other players. So it'd be really interesting to see a couple of maps designed with a lot of verticality, but see if they can actually do it correctly, because they have been doing it really well for the past couple of games. but I'd love to see a map where it's kind of like a skyscraper, but rather than, flying around and it's just the entire map around the skyscraper, it actually focuses on different floors. So there's maybe like 6 different floors you can access, and a couple of them have different capture points. There's like 1 or 2 on the outside, and they have like little birds or attack choppers flying around. I think that could be really cool, and rather than focusing on other areas of the map, maybe they've just got 1 or 2 skyscrapers that you're kind of battling over, maybe 3 or 4, and they're all just kind of around. Like, I think there was a map on Hardline that tried to do something like this, but it just didn't work because there was so many different capture points on the ground that it kind of pulled the action down to the ground. And that's not something you want to do if you want all the action to be up in the sky and there to be some really awesome parachuting moments and helicopters flying around. I think there could be some really cool mechanics with verticality, whether it's like a skyscraper or they decide to do something else. But really, I'm just excited to see different types of maps or what types of themes we're going to see for the next Battlefield game. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much just me ranting for 6 minutes on the next Battlefield game. If you guys have any opinions or ideas for the next game, whether it's a map, a mechanic, a weapon you'd like to see, feel free to leave that down in the comments below. Like the video if you did enjoy it, subscribe if you're not already. But anyways, guys, until next time, stay buttery.